Welcome to the Fantasy Football Clown Show. I'm Ed, along with Brad and Justin. Tonight we're going to break down the Elite Eight teams, and we're going to start with Division A. So this is Division A, and we're going to cover all 12 teams. And Brad's going to take it away with the first couple teams. So go ahead, Brad.
All right. Well, basically, Wolfpack had the number one pick in Team A's draft, and I'd say he set himself up for a rebuild for the most part. But he also stayed a little bit old. Like his QBs were like Josh Allen and Matt Ryan, but he definitely has multiple picks for the future, so he's definitely set up for a rebuild there. He doesn't have much depth at a tight end position, and his running backs are pretty good. The 2 pick was Davider. I think he's going to be near the bottom as well. He set himself up for a rebuild. He is a really young wide receiver core, and that consists of Higgins, Godwin, Amon-Ra, players like that. He has a pretty good QB room. He's got Mahomes, Rodgers, and Tannehill. So I would say he could be a rebuild, or he could try to go for something this year.
Very good. And so we're going to jump in with Lag of Yulun up, which was pick 3. This team took the starters and bench approach, so kind of separated, took a bunch of starters and then filled in with the bench right after that. So quarterbacks Herbert and Mac Jones, but outside of that has Geno Smith covering the bye week. So really relying on Geno to be still playing later in the year when the bye weeks occur, and really relying on making sure that those quarterbacks stay healthy. So that's kind of a gamble when you have to start 2 and it's not a super flex and a 2 quarterback set. The receivers are real good, but not great, because there's 3 of them that are really nice on the younger side, with Waddle and Eli Moore and Hunter Renfrow, and Keenan Allen kind of anchoring things as the older veteran type guy. But outside of that, starting 4, there's not much there. So even for the flex spots, it gets a little bit light. And so piecing that together is going to be a challenge. And then if you couple in injuries, it can really be very challenging for this team. The running backs are Swift and CEH, so they're young and can kind of build around it, with Chase Edmonds and Nick Chubb winding out this team. So this team is poised to, as long as health stays there and the starters, and we don't get to those bye weeks, those middle weeks, it'll be a fair team, but may be back to rebuilding depending on how the rest of the division stacks up. Tweak KC was the 4th pick, and this team will need everything to go right to the top 6. It just is in a real good spot, and they'll need to use their biggest asset to build for the future. John Taylor's great, but they have Mariota and Mitch Trubisky as their 2 quarterbacks, and behind that, Ritter, Locke, Willis are the options behind. So there's not much there unless there's some injuries or they turn the keys over. So they need to get to the top 6 this year, or it's just going to be a long season and then a long rebuild process unless they leverage John Taylor for some other future stuff. Some good players that they also have that are young are Deontay Johnson and Olave. So some young receivers they can build around or leverage for future picks, but definitely need to do something with John Taylor while the window's open. And with no future draft capital, it's going to be challenging. Justin's going to jump in with picks 5 and 6.
Pick 5, Mr. President only drafted 2 quarterbacks to help this team out here, with Tom Brady and Matt Stafford. But the team is pretty solid with King Henry, Kamara, A.J. Brown, Hollywood Brown, and a trio with some of the best tight ends in the league right now with Kelsey, Pitts, and Waller. He has a mixture of old and young players on his team to help make him make a few trades to see what he can do, maybe make a push for the see if you can win the Division A, maybe get the bye week there. With pick 6, Jingles only took 2 starting quarterbacks. Burrow with his 6th pick there, and Baker Mayfield. And of course, he has Jimmy G waiting in the wing for backing up Trey Lance there. With Cooper Kupp, Debo, Scary Terry, Michael Gallup. When it comes back to carrying this team this year, with those players, he could still cut for a hefty price to help get some more depth for his team. And it doesn't have any first-round picks in 2023 because he sold them off.
Make for a rough go.
Yes.
GJL Reed was the 7th pick, and this team has 3 starting quarterbacks with Russ, Lamar, and Mills, all in separate bye weeks, with Saquon, Ramonde, and Pierce and Brees. The running back room also seems real young and solid. Judy, Mooney, Rondell, Hamler at wide receiver really feels like something that can be built upon there. Alberto, Goddard at tight end, makes for, a solid set of starters, and you can fill in some tight ends maybe behind that. This team really is a couple bench players away that can, from competing for those top 2 spots. I really think this team is poised to take a run at being one of those 2 spots and getting its way to the Final Four. So really impressed with the build here out of the 7 spot. And, really will be interested in watching this team as it moves forward. Deadeye Owl picked in the 8th spot. And this team is really built for the future. And it has more pieces to move to just make this team a juggernaut down the line. He has 7 rookie firsts in 2023, as well as Watson, Carr, and Trevor as quarterbacks on the team. So he has 3 starting quarterbacks, Watson and Trevor, obviously young, and Carr still with some years to go. And DK, Kirk, and Garrett Wilson at receiver. So another, a lot of young receivers to build around as well. And then Burks, London, and Bateman with Komet on the taxi squad, just kind of getting ready for next year in those 7 first-round picks. I really think that if we fast forward to 2023 and 2024, this team might be one of those teams that repeats to the Final Four and really goes after that Empire pot. So I really think Deadeye Owl, while maybe doesn't win this year, is really building a juggernaut for the future. So, really an interesting build, and how he got 7 rookie first. We really, allowed that to happen. He did a really good job in this draft startup. Brad's going to jump in with picks 9 and 10.
Yeah. Pick 9 was Hurricane Zion. I'd say he definitely drafted and traded to go all in for this year. But he also kind of stayed young enough with his trades to compete down the road. He's got Kyler and Jalen Hurts as QBs. Those are the only 2 QBs on his roster. He also doesn't have any 23 picks. So I feel like he's definitely going for something this year, even though his tight end room isn't very good with Gerald Everett and Austin Hooper. But I think with CD and Mixon, Etienne, and Kyler, he has pieces to do well and at least make a push for what he was trying to accomplish, I think. The 10 pick was Matt Croak. I would say he's in a win now build. He drafted pretty well. He's got Fields and Tua as his QBs with Jameis on the bench, so he's kind of set up to at least make a run with his QBs. And he's got a pretty deep wide receiver room with Jamar, Devontae Adams, Devonta Smith, Ayuk, Curtis Samuel, Robbie Anderson. He's got depth there with his studs. So I think he's in a good position because he also doesn't have any 23 picks. So, yeah.
Very good. And Justin's going to jump in with pick 11 and pick 12.
Okay, with P. Jags at the 11 position, he ended up drafting 4 quarterbacks in this league: Cousins, Danny Dime, Jacoby Brissett. Not only Jacoby Brissett, he was able to pick up Deshaun Watson for when he comes back. So with he went a little bit of a heavy running back here to shore up his starting lineup with Eckler, Connor, and Cook to help just drive the force and put up his points. And then with there's wide receiver positions, he went with Evans, Sutton, Thielen to help put up some runs on the board. Also noticed that he picked up Mark Andrews, George Kittle, and Dalton Schultz for his tight ends. I should all help put up some numbers in this tight end premium league there. And with the pick 12 fantasy clown, with the heavy quarterback approach, 15 total quarterbacks. Prescott, Lance, Zach Wilson, Kenny Pickett, just to name a few. With him doing this, set everyone else up to come to him with trades and hopefully get some good trade offers for his guys who's not using that quarterback there. Went very young overall, and like in a few years, who should be able to sell off those quarterbacks and be able to control a few of the rookie drafts, and I'll be able to build this team around that.
Yeah, so that wraps up Division A, and just invite you guys to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button so that you get the rest of these videos as they come out as well. And check back for next Wednesday in a couple days for our picks of who's going to come out of this division and go to the Sweet 16 playoffs. So from the Elite Eight. So you guys will get our 3 predictions just coming up here on Wednesday morning. So again, thanks for joining the Fantasy Football Clown Show. I'm Ed, along with Brad and Justin.